Mother, what does betray mean?
Well, it's when someone you trust. Sometimes someone you love stabs you in the back when you least expect it. And then you fall. And your heart is broken. And with much strength and great determination, lift yourself up again. But when you do, nothing can stop you.
Mother, I won't ever betray you.
I know, my son. I know.
Thronebreaker. 1 year ago, on the 23rd of October 2018, Thronebreaker The Witcher Tales was released on GOG. The game follows Meve, the Queen of Lyria and Rivia, on her quest to take back her kingdoms from the invading forces of Nilfgaard, under the command of Ardal ab Dahi. This all takes place in the Second Northern War, several years before the trilogy of the Witcher games. To take back your throne, you will travel across several regions that have never been featured in the other Witcher games. You will lead your armies in battles against Nilfgaard, scoia'teal, monsters and more. The game's story has a focus on betrayal. Who can you trust? Which actions will result in losing your friends and soldiers? And who is truly your friend? Nilfgaard is out to get you, and they have more ways to achieve their goals besides fighting. The game's story is great. Every part of it feels like it's truly in the world of The Witcher. Your actions will also have consequences. Sometimes choices can result in friends dying or opponents gaining an advantage. You have to think and decide what is best for both you and the soldiers who trust you. You can be a saint, giving everything to the people and fighting as little as possible. Or you can go on a ruthless rampage, killing every Nilfgaardian, showing no mercy and only focusing on your army's strength. The army you lead into battle is made up out of Gwent cards, as the battles are Gwent matches. I'm aware that Gwent, even though many loved it, is not as liked by others, so therefore it might be useful to inform you that you can skip Gwent. If you play the game just for the story, however, even though the story is great, so are some of the Gwent matches. I really like the puzzles. They changed all the rules of Gwent, and they had you think sometimes more than the normal matches about how to complete the goal. Also, Gwent is no longer the same as it was in The Witcher 3. Cards can do more than before, and besides, there are only 2 rows on each side instead of 3. So if you are not sure about how you feel about these changes and haven't played the standalone Gwent game yet, try it before purchasing Thronebreaker. It's free on GOG. Also, just once again, you can skip the Gwent matches. To skip the Gwent matches, all you have to do is just forfeit the match and then you can press skip. It's not hard, you can just go straight through it. You will miss some dialogue of certain characters mid-battle in story battles, though. If you wonder about the game's length, it took me about 30 hours to complete the main story. I did most of the side quests, but not everything. If you want to complete it all in one run, it could take you possibly between 35 to 40 hours. On the other hand, if you want to go for just the story bits and skip the fight, then the duration of the game will be about 12 to 15 hours, I expect. I'm not sure, I haven't tested myself. These are just some times that I've found online. Thronebreaker is a bigger game than people expect, and has way more to offer. Done with your first playthrough, you can go into a new playthrough and make different choices. You were nice to people the first time. Be mean to them and suffer the consequences. Just like The Witcher 3, at the end you get all your endings in screens. Like the fate, how Orson the fate of Yennefer and Geralt's fate if he was alone, the fate of Ciri. Now you will get informed about how several groups saw you as a ruler. Like if the non-humans fear you, if Nilfgaard sees you as noble or as a bloodthirsty murderer. The fate of your closest advisors and the fate of Meve herself. The game is filled with references to the books. Some you might not even notice at first. Like a certain group of druids you come across. Certain references just before crossing a certain bridge. The reason why this game has so many references mainly has to do with the time in which it takes place. The game takes place between Time of Contempt and Lady of the Lake. You will get to see parts from the books play out in front of your eyes, as well as an entire new story that fits right in between the events in the books. Note that Thronebreaker only has a few small parts that are truly appeared in the books, and most of the game is outside of the books. Just to make sure you know that. The narrator, who generally talks from time to time, might also be familiar to you if you have read the books. If you look closely at him and his outfit, you might know who he is. The game is also filled with Easter eggs. To other games that play out in the way of certain puzzles that had you play, like Hearthstone, I believe. Also, there are references to several other games in the maps. You can also, if you look hard enough, at some point in a certain map find a reference to Gaunter O'Dim. The game features several maps. You start off in Lyria, then you have to travel across several kingdoms and lands, like the mountainous regions of Mahakam, the swamps of Angren, which are worse than the swamps of Velen by far. Then there's also the fields, the burning fields of Adarn, and Rivia. You get to see several parts that have never been featured in the other Witcher games. Each of these parts feels completely different. Thronebreaker deserves way more attention than it received, in my opinion. It is a great game that had some unfortunate things happen to it at launch. The launch date was unfortunate, with several big games like Red Dead Redemption 2 releasing just after it. Also, it had some problems around launch with exclusivity with GOG and some less than optimal communication. However, the game is now also on Steam if you prefer Steam over GOG. If you want to get Thronebreaker, I'll still recommend getting it on GOG, as if you ever want to try the Gwent standalone card game or already play the Gwent standalone card game, if you purchase Thronebreaker, you will receive certain special things and rewards through Thronebreaker that might be useful to you in Gwent, like certain special animated cards and some borders and points you can spend in Gwent itself. Of course, if you don't want to play it, you can also still get it on Steam. It's your own choice. I won't decide for you where to get a certain game if you want to get that game. The game is 1 year old, and that would likely mean that there could be sales going on right now as the video is live. If there are any, I'll link to it in the description. This video was just to talk about Thronebreaker. The next video will be a Witcher lore video once again. Till then, bye.
Prepare the men for battle.
Yes, Your Grace.
So, now that we're alone, what's really going on?